Okay, where we left off, we were saying what we needed to get is this from channel here using setup node. And after we get that value, we need to pass it to our setup dialog and then use it. So let's go ahead and do that. Go back to tutorial. Okay, now anytime you get any values from using setup node, that saves everything as strings. So you're going to have to convert it. In this case, we're getting a value that needs to be an integer. So we'll convert what we find to int. So let's go ahead. We'll make our variable here. Let's call this start channel equals, and we're going to convert what we get to an integer. So convert to int. Okay, and now we want to get that value using setup node. So what you do is you go to this our setup node object that we made in the very beginning. Now in this case, the value we want is saved as an attribute. Basically, there's attributes and inner text. I didn't go through that in my explanation of setup node, and I'm not sure I was really clear on that explanation anyway. So hopefully within the next couple parts it'll make a lot more sense. So the attribute value that we're trying to get is from. That was that from value. And that's the value that we're getting. Now the way these values are saved, if you remember, all the channels are labeled starting with the number 1, so it's channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 4, etc. When they're saved in either a list or an array, that's 0 based. So the number that we get from setup node is going to be 1 higher than the number that we actually need. So we just subtract 1. And there you have it. We have our value. That was the first step we needed to do. The next step is we have to send it to our setup dialog, and we're going to do that basically the same method we used for the channels. We're going to add in here saying that you have to also send, when you open this up, you have to send an integer. We'll call it start channel. Start channel, and I'll capitalize the C just to make sure it's different from the one we put in earlier. And like before, we get the error message here, so just double click on it, and it takes us right to where the error was. Now the error we had is basically we never sent the start channel, so let's just send it start channel. So there you go. We now we're at the point where we found our start channel. We've sent it to our dialog box, or our new dialog. Now we just have to use it. Now, if you think about it, all we really need to do, the whole idea of this is we don't want any values to go into that list box until we hit that start value and higher. This channels that we sent has the complete list of channels, starting from the absolute first to the absolute last. Whether we need it or not. So we're just going to restrict here, basically just saying if the output channel is greater than or equal to the start channel that we sent, then we're going to go ahead and put it in the put it in the list. Otherwise, we'll just ignore it. Okay, that should be it. I've got to close out Vixen so I can build it. Let's give it a build. And then test it out. Okay, we have our tutorial here. Let's change this to, say, 7. Plugin setup. There you go. We started channel 7. So now they can't, nothing can be selected unless that we don't want selected. So that should do it for this part.